Hey everybody, this is Matt from the Off Farm Adventure Channel. You are tuned into a video of me taking the Alaskan Camper up to the Middle Fork of the Boise River for an overnighter in the spring of 2022, this spring. Now, it has been a crazy summer, and as you guys know, this channel is all about how I'm able to get away and get some adventure in while being a farmer at the same time. And so I shot this video the spring of 2022, but then I got busy with the farm all summer long, and I have not been able to do any editing. And so I'm finally getting some editing done now that we've moved into late fall and I'm done irrigating and things have slowed down on the farm. And so I'm getting to some editing now. And so what you're looking at right here is just me heading up the road to get up to the turnoff to the Middle Fork of the Boise River, and to get up there and start enjoying some beautiful scenery this spring, and to throw up the Alaskan Camper. And man, did I find a nice spot. I really had a great time. I just passed there the Lucky Peak Dam there on Lucky Peak Reservoir in Idaho. And actually, I'm following the Boise River all the way up. I'm going over the high bridge here over Moore's Creek, and I'm following all the different water sources that I irrigate my farm with, which is kind of interesting. The Boise River drainage is what we irrigate out of. So I'm crossing this high bridge just near Lucky Peak, or just over Lucky Peak, and heading up into the Middle Fork Road here up towards Spring Shores. You can see Lucky Peak Reservoir there off to the right. And really some really cool stuff and cool history going up here. That dam I went by is a Lucky Peak Dam. That's built in the 1950s to create Lucky Peak Reservoir. We irrigate out of that reservoir. And that high bridge I just went over on Highway 21. Let's see, it's 432-foot steel arch bridge built in 1953 to get over Moore's Creek right there. And then I am heading up right now towards the Arrowrock Dam. And what's so interesting about Lucky Peak Reservoir and Arrowrock Reservoir, which we irrigate out of both because they're both part of the Boise River, is that they're contiguous. Basically, Lucky Peak Reservoir, as you'll see here in a second, goes all the way to the dam of Arrowrock Reservoir. So there's barely any flowing water like you would imagine in a river between the two. Matter of fact, there's really not any because you can see it's standing water out there to the right, and I'll be coming up to the dam here in just a second at Arrowrock Dam. Now, Arrowrock Dam was built in 1915, or at least opened in 1915. And so that's the original. And then they later put the dam in for Lucky Peak to provide even more irrigation water to the valley. But this is right where the road turns to dirt as you're heading up into the Middle Fork area. And you can see the dam right there. I forget what they call that. An arch dam, I think is what they call that. Yeah, an arch dam built by the Corps of Engineers. Now, you can get a little traffic jam. This is the only spot on the drive where it can get a little bit tight once you get up to the dirt road. I'm going up on a Sunday, and it's the first nice weekend, so there's a lot of people coming down. So I'm a little bit of a jerk for doing this because there's people trying to come out, get home, and get ready for work the next day. And since I'm able to go in and steal a night on a Sunday or on a work night, I'm going in. So right here I'm kind of pausing, and I can't see anyone, so it's like, well, I'll take the risk, and I'm going to hit the gas and just go forward. Hope I don't meet anybody in the middle, so I take off. But this is totally one lane right here, where it drops down into the overflow for the dam. So you can see this person saw me, and they stopped, and they're going to back up to let me get past them. And then there's going to be a traffic jam, but we all work it out. We all figure it out. But I've just got the Alaskan on the pickup. I don't have like a huge trailer that I'm pulling up or anything like that. If I had that, this whole thing could have got shut down. It could have been really ugly. And really, if you're going to go up into a popular area on a Sunday, you shouldn't do it on roads like this if people don't have the ability to get around you and you don't have the ability to back up and maneuver, because it can get sketchy. And you see all these people pulled off. So I stopped for them right here to let them come on through. And I think 3 cars come through, and then the next person stops for me, and they let me come on through. This guy in the Dodge, he does not need to go that aggressive. I'm pulled over for him. But yeah, these folks will get past me, and then I'll be able to get on up and go through. and get past the dam, and then the road will widen out, and it's not nearly like this. But right here on these cliffs where they chose to build the dam, obviously the obvious place to build it, it gets just a little bit narrow as you are driving through. So you'll see in this next shot, there's some pretty sheer drop-offs on this dirt road as you're going in. Our community has lost more than one person late at night, or somebody who's been drinking, or somebody on an ATV who's out of control on this road, and they've gone over and dropped down off the drop-off either into the water or in the winter when it's icy and snowy, just all the way down because the reservoirs are way down. And so that happens, but you can see, I mean, this is one of the first nice weekends of the spring, and all these people are on their way out with their big rigs. And honestly, they're in the right. I'm a little bit of a jerk for going in on a Sunday afternoon when all these people are trying to come out. But again, I just have the Alaskan on, so I'm able to get around everybody. Okay, so the water you're seeing off to the right now, that is Arrowrock Reservoir. And so that's the older of the two reservoirs. And this is all out of the Boise River. This is below the confluence of the North Middle Fork and the South Forks. See up there on the hillside, there's a bunch of sheep that are grazing up here in the spring. There are ranchers that run their bands of sheep up and down the Boise Range, the Boise Front, from down near Mountain Home all the way up through, up into like McCall and Cascade in that area, and they run sheep all the way through. So they were hitting this while it's still green, because this dries up later in the summer, no question about it. Now we'll get up to the river here in just a second. The Middle Fork of the Boise is where I'm heading, and the Middle Fork, that tributary, that is about 52 miles long in total before it hits the confluence and goes into Arrowrock Reservoir. You can see there's some more sheep up there on the left, and just following this dirt road. Look at that drop-off right there. It's really, really pretty up in here, especially in spring. And my daughter Hattie, man, she hates being a passenger in the truck with me on this road. Not that I'm a wild driver or anything like that, but that drop-off just really, really bothers her. All right, so we are getting up. You can see we're still subject to the water flows of the reservoir, but now we're getting kind of up above it, and we are getting into where the river is actually going to be flowing. Now, it's interesting. Later this summer, my wife and I came up here to go swimming, and this was all flowing like the river because they had dropped the levels quite a bit. But right now in the spring, when it's really high, there's no water moving through here. But later in the summer, it's flowing just like a river right in here. Starting to get into some beautiful trees and forest up here, and this green grass was just overwhelming. I don't even think the camera does it justice, just how green it really was coming up here this time of year. I'll tell you what's interesting about this year up here too is when I shot this, we were looking like we were going into catastrophic drought. And then it was just a couple of weeks after I shot this that all of a sudden the spigots turned on, and we made up for all of that, got out of the drought with rainfall in May and June. This bridge coming up on the right, if you take that, that'll take you to the little town of Prairie. And I think you have to go over the Danskin Mountains, some dirt roads to get there. But you can take a right there and head up to Prairie, Idaho, or just keep on heading north or east, really, and go to Atlanta, Idaho. All right, now you can see some white water out there in the river. Not big white water, but some white water. And so we have made it past the area that's under the influence of the dam. And now we're in actually what they call it, a national scenic river, or whatever they call it, but a protected river that gets to flow naturally, at least until it hits that still water. All right, and we are rolling into camp here shortly. Yep, just got to swing a right into camp, and I'll show you a picture of the mile marker. This is on the Middle Fork Road if you guys ever want this spot. I did not know this spot was here. I just found it. Went up here and just randomly found it, but I really, really like this spot. This concrete thing sitting up here, I still never figured out what it was, but I think there used to be like a flume for a mine that came down to the river, and this is what's left of it, but I'm not positive.
All right, you guys, just really quick, here's the middle fork of the Boise River over here, and here's where there will be a nice campfire later tonight, unless the rain just sets in, but I don't think it will. And looking up out of the canyon, that should be east, I think, east or northeast, something like that. And you can see the river's flowing pretty good. We're short on water this year, but right now there's still runoff, and so the river's flowing pretty good. But I'm gonna try fishing either tonight or tomorrow morning and see how I do. This concrete thing, I have no idea what it was for. At some point it must have been some sort of a flume or something. I have no idea. And then here is the Alaskan. She's all set up. I did something a little bit new. So these lanterns that I hang in my driveway in the winter, I brought a couple of them. I'm hanging them off these hooks in the back, and we'll have candlelight lanterns tonight. We'll see how cheesy that really is. But here's the Alaskan. I couldn't be more happy with this thing. And look how pretty it is up here. It is just gorgeous up here. Haven't seen any lightning or heard any thunder yet, but it's in the forecast for today, so we'll see what happens. Man, it is just gorgeous up here. Look back down that way. That's back towards Boise, back towards Arrowrock Reservoir. Just gorgeous. And this is just a little national forest pullout, not really an organized campground, just kind of dispersed camping up here. But man, this time of year is gorgeous. And I cannot tell you, I've been down working on the farm constantly, haven't really been able to escape. And I got up here, and I just can't even describe to you how it smells. It smells so awesome up here. Just the pine trees, the sagebrush, the bitter brush, all of it. It's just absolutely gorgeous up here right now. And I've got it all to myself, except for the occasional late person who has to work tomorrow, who's making their way down the mountain and driving by. But I'm well off the road, as you can see. And so it's pretty sweet. I'm excited to be here. Excited to be in the Alaskan. Excited to have you all join me. And those of you who have Alaskans, maybe we'll see you in the Gem State here in June at the Rendezvous up in Chalice. I plan on being there, so hopefully get to meet some of you. Hey you guys, I wanted to give you a look at my camp after dark. It's a pretty sweet camp. I'm pretty happy with it. Got a nice fire going, and you'll notice I got my twinkly lights. That's a string of solar lights I bought off of Amazon, and you can charge them too off of USB. They're pretty cool, but they just charged on the dashboard of my truck on the way up here because they were completely dead from last weekend. And got nice little twinkly lights tonight. And then I've got a lantern stand. It's kind of tilting a little bit with the weight of this lantern. This is an old Coleman 275 lantern. I bought at an auction just recently. And last weekend it got dirty with rain up in the Owyhee Mountains. It got mud spackled all over it. I got to clean that thing off. But anyway, old school Coleman lantern I bought at an auction, which I thought was pretty cool. Coleman 275 runs off of the gas rather than the propane. And this lantern stand, which I'll link to in the show notes, an affiliate link, but I like it. It's pretty sweet. Got my chair and my table by the fire, twinkly lights again. And if you guys have watched all my videos, some of you have seen that I have a hobby where I make candles and I light my driveway with them in the winter. And so I brought a couple of the lanterns with me on this trip and a couple of the homemade candles, and they got these hooks on the back of the Alaskan. So I hung those lanterns up there and have this natural candlelight. It keeps reminding me of the freaky people in that sequel to The Shining, Dr. Sleep. And so I hope those people are not around here. And then nice warm glow of the wood and the incandescent lights there inside the Alaskan. And get another look here from the side. And I haven't even been in there all night. I've got all the windows open. It is an unbelievably gorgeous evening for May 15th, up in the mountains on the river. It is absolutely gorgeous. I don't even have a sweater on. It is really nice. The breeze is just starting to kick up, but it is just gorgeous out. And I've just been sitting outside all night. Didn't even need the fire, just had it for the ambiance. But I've just loved coming up here and just bringing my cabin with me. Just absolutely thrilled to be up here on the middle fork of the Boise River and to be able to share this with all of you guys. So I have wanted an Alaskan camper forever. I've had one now for 5 months. This is about my 4th or 5th overnight in it, and I just could not be more thrilled. That's a 1976 Alaskan. All that stuff you're seeing there is I ripped off there was an awning on there, I took it off, and that's the leftover like weather stripping or whatever they had glued on there. I need to clean that up. I got the windows open, light going in there, and I'm just thrilled to be out here right along the Boise River, the middle fork of the Boise River. And the thing I love about the Alaskan is it's beautiful. I love it. It keeps me out of the weather, makes me feel at home, gives me a safe place to go to when the weather comes in. But it's not so luxurious that it keeps me in there, like watching Top Gun on satellite or something like that. I've been sitting around the campfire all night, which is what you should be doing camping, and then I'll be getting up in there to go to bed here soon. So that is the camp at nighttime, everybody. Hey everybody, made it through an absolutely wonderful night. It is gorgeous out here this morning. The sun is up already. I kind of slept in a little bit, but made some delicious coffee this morning and been taking pictures of birds and just enjoying the Alaskan and all the scenery around here. And for those of you who are still wondering whether or not you're going to go to the rendezvous in Challis, Idaho, I'm telling you, if you think this is pretty where I'm at, it's going to be just as green up there in just a few weeks here in June. And higher country. Challis is really, really special. Really, really interesting place. So you guys should all go. We could all meet up there, look at these wildflowers, and chase birds together. But anyway, if you don't have an Alaskan and you're just tuning in, thanks for being here. If you do, man, I'd love to see your guys as Alaskans up in Challis, and you could help me solve some problems. And man, I can't help but just looking around this canyon as I'm filming this. Thanks for being here, everybody. Grab you some shots on the way out, and that'll do it for this quick off-farm adventure.